Welcome back. It is session 43 across the Atlantic 16, where our intrepid adventurers are finding themselves increasingly in the thick of things as the storm grows around them and the situation seems more unsure. To roll back in our recap, you had seen Hughes had seen the night before after was seen the night before after splashing noises. So Wright and Brady go in to talk to him. They hit the steerage to find him. He was just chatting with a couple of young ladies, watching him. He's hitting on them, and they politely leave him alone. Head up to him, or so you head up to the first class deck with him to talk in private, despite the rain heading outside. He tells you about the two men throwing a box overboard. Says that he saw a scuffle, gunfight, maybe on the bow. And wonders why was the box sent overboard without opening it, as do you. Deliberately a bit misleading with Hughes. You say about how the box was, sorry, about the box and what was theoretically in it, and basically about how maybe, about the other one being a decoy. And you basically sort of plant seeds with him that the real box is, or so that it was the real box that is gone. You regroup to discuss before lunch. Watts shows the book he brought from his dream the night before. Mrs. Hastings is at lunch. You notice that that's funny. The way this is written is a little confusing. You talk about how at lunch Mrs. Hastings was quite pleased with herself, and Miss Green was quite upset, and how Cox was heading down to the lower decks. Miss Baker is to babysit the box. That's the real box. And you discuss what Hughes had said about how throwing the box over the ship, and that the box had not even been looked in, and about how you told Hughes that you wanted to find the culprits regardless. You discuss whether you should open the box and investigate more, which you don't end up doing. Discuss Roland's friend's experiences with a similar object and how dangerous it is. And you also talk about rigging the last extra box with extra explosives for a double surprise, which you do, I recall. You also, talk about setting up your beds in the room in the middle to look like people were in them. Basically, setting up as like a specific room that's a trap. I believe the middle room that you were going to use for this. You then go Draper and Wright to see the bursar. So you head to the mess hall to speak with the bursar. He is in the steerage mess hall. Speaking with him, he tells you of 4 people who seem suspicious potentially as far as new crew members. A cook in the steerage class, Dilek Kaplan. A cook in the first class restaurant, Mark Markopoulos. A steward, Dolores Talbot. And another steward, Mehmed Demir. So he mentions that Hughes, you mentioned that Hughes saw what happened on deck, and to go and speak with him. You round up 2 suspicious people. He's going to round up the 2 suspicious people. 2 suspicious people. Once he's confirmed with Hughes that the story checks out. The storm that you're experiencing is unusual, but not impossible. That's something you ask him about. So it's not completely out of the norm, but is a little unusual. Going to see Mrs. Hastings. Brady and Watts go and find her. Watts rolls as he comes into the room as to what she's looking at in the library, recognizes a plan for the city of Atlantis. She has a paper with some kind of runic casting circle that matches it. It's not actually, as far as she knew, a map of Atlantis. To ask if she speaks Greek. She does speak some ancient Greek, which is convenient considering the book that you have. Cautioned her that people of the deep may not be so friendly, even though she wants to cast a spell, which she is not convinced by. Watts also shows her the egg, which she doesn't believe at first, and asks Brady. Brady confirms. She mentions that Dagon and Mother Hydra, 2 sides, potentially sisters, and how Cox is attempting to find reagents for the spell that she intends to cast tonight. There's some other stuff about looking through the books that Watts sort of recognizes in a very short period of time, but doesn't have a lot of time to study it. You find out that turning into a deep one is something that can drive a man mad. So this may be the result why the people that you ran into, the deep ones that you ran into on deck, were violent. continue to give her harsh warnings. Sorry.
Crazy.
Oh, Emily's just saying that they're crazy. Um, Basically, will Watson Brady help her cast a spell? She's convinced it's a communication spell. You guys decide that you're going to do this. She mentions that Miss Green is not in favor of her doing whatever she's up to, so you're going to have to keep Miss Green busy to keep her out of the way. And also, then from there, how can you stop the fish people? Should you need to, or how can they be dealt with? Basically, fully transformed deep ones are very strong and live for a very long period of time, while hybrids can succumb to their madness in transforming and are more similar to your average person. The captain, you go and speak to briefly. Sorry. You initially can't convince the crewmen to let you see the captain, but the captain happens to wake up. The storm is definitely getting bad. The captain had strange dreams about buildings deep beneath the waves, and you ask him to write down his dreams. The captain looks rather gaunt and unwell, but heads up to the bridge because he believes that he's needed there. You check the room carefully for occult signs or whether the lock was tampered with, but all seems fine. You regroup to discuss your next moves, which leaves you with a bunch of different things that you potentially need to do. You have Miss Green, which you decide that you are more likely to try and charm to keep her busy rather than lock her up, which seems a little bit cruel. You have Mrs. Hastings, of course, that you have to assist with a spell later tonight, but you have a little time before that. It's kind of mid-afternoon. There's Flinders. Can he be some assistance? He's still locked up somewhere, obviously being accused of the murder. Then you have the people that burst are identified: Dilek Kaplan, Mark Markopoulos, Dolores Talbot, and Mehmed Demir to track down. And then, of course, there is Miss Cuthbert herself and potentially the other members of her crew, which you may want to confront. Which now leaves us then, I guess, back. You guys are together and need to decide how you will proceed. Who's doing what, where, when, and how.
I'm trying to think if we last week if we had talked about anybody specifically going to check on Flinders.
I don't think you had decided on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess Miss Baker could volunteer to go check on Flinders since he's likely to behave himself when she's around. I think we finished just after we had met back up, so we can just leave Watts with the box as usual for now.
Is this something that we can split up individually, or do we still want to stay in pairs?
Probably smart to pair up.
Okay.
It may be the best course of action, but we do have several things to pursue at this point. Perhaps as long as we are being relatively careful and meet up more frequently, we can get more done if we go about things on our own. I don't imagine anything disastrous will befall me while I go to collect Flinders, and I, as annoying as he is, intend to get him out of this.
Well, I can always go down to steerage with you and speak with the Mr. I'm assuming Mr. Kaplan, Dilek, one of the cooks.
Not a bad idea. And the rest of you, what are you going to undertake right now? We should definitely make sure that we at least know where each other is heading before we separate.
Suppose I should ask Miss Hastings when the best time to distract Miss Green would be. Perhaps look for one of the stewards and give them a once over.
Yeah,
on that.
I was gonna ask, does the crew wear name tags of any sort?
Oh man, that is a good question. I have no idea how I'd research that. Let's go on a limb and say yes.
Okay. So, I'll just mention that we could just check name tags. I could go with Mr. Wright and just be a second pair of eyes looking for either Dolores or Mehmed.
The stewards would be upstairs, right?
Yes.
the-
So the two stewards would be upstairs. One cook is in the first class restaurant, and one cook is in the steerage mess hall. I suppose also, of course, stewards may well be running errands down further below, but stewards tend to not be attending to the needs of the steerage class passengers.
Well, we know the names, I suppose. We just keep a keen eye.
Yep.
I tried to Google it, and it's not having any luck. The name tag thing. Unsurprisingly, I think that would be one of those things where I mean, it's one of those things every once in a while I'm tempted to go on like Reddit and post on like ask historians really awkward, like very specific questions.
It would be really interesting for this kind of thing to see what you could find out. I did discover that those sticker ones that say "Hello, my name is" came out in 1959.
Interesting. I'm wondering if maybe they had it stitched on their.
That's entirely possible, but I wonder if they would go through all that effort for everyone, like maybe the captain and a bunch of the higher level staff or something, but your random like dishwasher in the steerage section probably doesn't have his name embroidered on his shirt.
True.
Makes sense.
Especially if they turn over sometimes at some of the ports in like a few hours.
I'm looking at pictures of first class crew on steamships. And it looks like I don't know. Hard to tell you. They're not exactly really high quality pictures. There's not many of them. We will just say for ease of reference, it makes your life a little bit easier as opposed to having to go around and be like, "You sir, what's your name?" We'll cross question them. We'll say they're stitched. Well, I guess do we want to kick off with Miss Baker going to see Flinders?
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna tag along since he's likely in steerage, right? Down below.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll just kind of separate from there and look for Dialect Kaplan.
I believe you guys actually knew that he was being held in one of the in one of the storage compartments that had been like essentially made into a place to keep him locked up.
Yeah, because I thought like Watts had already checked on him at one point, or at least
Yeah, because Watts did exactly.
Okay. So yeah, we can head in the same direction for as long as it makes sense, and then split off. Before Nora leaves the room, she will turn to everyone else. Well, we should check in more frequently, I think. Perhaps let's give it a couple of hours and we meet back here, or find a way to get a message to each other.
Yeah, presumably it'll be like before dinner, because it's now like mid-afternoon.
We'll reconvene and then we can have an early meal and hopefully a quiet night, though it seems unlikely. Anyways, do be careful and, well, keep an eye out for Gills. So nod at the rest of them and head out.
I will follow.
Well, I guess it's us today.
Seems like it. I'll follow you to Miss Hastings.
All right. I guess as Nora walks out the door, she will sort of quietly to Watts, just and do remember, of course, all of my things are trapped, and head out towards rescuing Flinders.
I'll also warn him the box is trapped as well.
Mr. Sorry. Ah, man. Oh, excuse me. I don't know why I'm saying the coffee so bad. Mr. Watts, looking queasy, barfs into one of Baker's hats. No, I don't want to actually say that.
She only has one, and she's wearing it.
Okay. Barfs at your face. No, so he settles down to keep an eye on it, pulling out his book that he wanted to. I think he didn't. Did he? No, he left the book with Mrs. Hastings, didn't he? Forget. If he'll pull out a book, we'll say, of some kind that he wants to study, or his notes or something like that. Anyway, Miss Baker and Mr. Brady heading off down towards the steerage. The boat is continuing to rock back and forth, and as you guys are exiting, I will have all of you make dexterity throws to see whether you stumble as the boat tilts as you're all exiting the cabin. Just straight dexterity.
Oof. Just me.
Oh, so yeah, just Mr. Draper exiting first, stumbles over the threshold and catches himself with only a 62 on 60 on the far wall, slipping to the ground before hauling yourself back up as the boat tilts towards the way that you're exiting. Your compatriots behind you are warned by the warned by your tumble and are able to brace themselves upon exiting.
I'll just once I regain myself, I'm like, the storm's getting worse, I guess.
It certainly feels more violent on the seas.
Well, finding your way over towards down toward into steerage, it is fairly quiet this afternoon. The lights in the boat are flickering slightly with the violent rocking from time to time, and it's relatively quiet with few people moving about in the halls. You do see some continued back and forth as stewards deliver food and medicine to beleaguered passengers, but there are a few hardy souls who are going about their daily business, whether they be on their way to the smoking lounge or some other indoor facility within the boat, and managing to hold themselves against the steady rocking. On your way down into steerage, obviously with the close quarters down there, you are assaulted by the smell of humanity being pressed into a smaller confinement, and obviously with some people sick, there's a bit of a a bit of a problem with the few people who are most sick, then triggering those that are only a bit queasy. And clearly, the crew are doing their best to keep people clean and fine, but it's starting to amass and is not the most pleasant of experiences.
Well, that is something I had not considered. Let's be quick about this then.
Yeah, I never look forward to coming down here, but I guess this is where we split and find our people.
Indeed. Best of luck.
Same to you.
Give him a curt nod and turn towards wherever they're keeping Flinders.
Just off to the around this way because they're off the main stairs. You could head down towards the sorry storage area. There is a crewman that has been posted outside the door who raises an eyebrow as you approach, since this is the same area that had the break-in.
Hello. I'm checking on your prisoner. Not sure if we've met directly, but I've been assisting the first mate with all these troubles the last few days.
He looks you up and down and says, "You're the lady detective, then?"
Yes, that's right.
Thought so with those pants. Well, be quick about it and don't cause any trouble.
Of course not. Will you be needing to hold on to this prisoner any longer, really? I mean, he couldn't possibly have caused the disturbance.
Not my call, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Well, I will speak to the captain about that then. I do need to speak with him for a moment, if that's not too much trouble.
As I'll be a step away if you find yourself in trouble.
Of course. Good to know. She'll head on through and head over to where they're keeping Flinders, or is it just like one room?
It is a big room with some of the middle area now open as some stuff has been moved out of it. But then there are smaller rooms off to the side that have been closed off, and Flinders was in the first one.
Are there like bars on the windows, or
No, it's like there's no window at all. It's just like a sealed airtight door for like, you know, 'cause it sits down in the lower hold of the ship, meant to be able to withstand water pressure should there be a flood.
Gotcha. Is it locked then?
No, it just simply is not openable from the inside.
Gotcha, because, yeah. Okay, she will head over and stop outside the door, wait for a moment, and then just kind of slam it open, not like totally, but loudly enough that it is surprising and kind of shocking for Flinders, and sort of take a step into the room. Flinders, how are you doing in here?
A Flinders who was previously in the dimly lit room, sleeping on a small cot that had been brought down here, is like, Miss Baker.
Yes, of course. I've come to check on you. I assume they're treating you well?
As well as can be, I suppose. Fuck, I don't remember what Flinders sounds like. It's been a while. You have to go back to another video. That's what he sounds like for now. Jesus.
That works.
So it's like, as well as can be. Do they still suspect me of that murder?
Well, the captain is awake and seems more himself, so I'm sure we can speak to him in a reasonable manner. There's absolutely no way you are capable of what they think you did.
I do so want to get out of here. This is well, a little damp and stuffy, to say the least.
Yeah, I imagine it smells pretty bad in here.
It's not like super stinky or anything. It's just, yeah, like it's obviously fairly close quarters, and the room doesn't have much in the way of airflow.
Yes, we don't need to bottle you up any longer. That might become quite unpleasant. I will speak to the captain, but it is good to see that you are alive and uninjured. Do keep an ear open for strange things around you. The Well, the ship has experienced all sorts of quite interesting matters recently, and I wouldn't want you to get caught up in them.
Getting caught up in things is just what I always wanted, though.
Yes, and you do seem to have quite a knack for finding the deadliest of things you could possibly wander into, so perhaps the best thing we could do is just open the door and you will find all the problems for us.
Point the way, and you'll have your faithful Flinders on the case.
Indeed.
So, has there been any news?
I shouldn't go into detail here. You never know who may be listening in such places. It's, well, you being a prisoner, I'm sure they're paying some attention to you.
Yeah, looks out behind you and says, "No, I don't think so. I think they've forgotten about me."
Right, well, that may also be true, but we'll discuss it when you are a free man again, shall we? I'll go speak to the captain and get this sorted out.
If I'm to get out of here, what am I to do to assist you?
For now, just keep your ears open, and we'll be in touch. But any of those items of Mr. Watts that you have been storing away for this journey, well, you make sure that they are all delivered to one of our chambers as soon as possible, of course.
He looks a little confused and then nods. Indeed. Well, whatever you can do to get me out of here. The steerage rations, they're draining.
Right. I'm sure food is the biggest concern at the moment, but I will speak to the captain. No point in them wasting time and effort containing someone who is harmless.
Have you been watching the seas?
Not particularly, though they're getting rather rough.
I've noticed. You can, if you see there's a pail in the corner that does not appear to only have the regular bit of human waste in it. It looks like he's probably been sick at least once.
Right. Well, I hope we can get you to more comfortable quarters soon. You just hold on for now, and remember, anyone could be a secret mole man, so don't talk too much.
He winks at you.
He'll nod and shake her head at the same time and leave, seeming slightly exasperated. Does anyone else come anywhere near this sort of part of the storage area since I've gone in?
I mean, it's pretty much quiet down here. I guess you could look around to investigate the area in general for signs of people coming and going a little more carefully. But obviously, they did in relatively recent period move a bunch of stuff out of the area related to the fact that it had been broken into in terms of valuables thinking it not secure.
Okay. Well, I guess she will head out. On her way, sort of stop at the guard. You really should give him a fresh bucket, or that room is going to reek for days.
So I'll have one of the boys go in and deal with it. He changed his voice too. Jeez.
Right. Well, keep an eye out. How long have you been posted here? Surely they're switching up your shifts regularly?
says, taking 8-hour shifts. I'm due for another few hours, and then it will switch off.
All right. Well, keep doing a great job. She'll head back the way she came. Does he seem fairly competent? Like, attentive?
I mean, just like at a glance, yeah, like he wasn't sleeping. He was just like standing there, keeping an eye on the hall, and had no reason to particularly believe that he was fobbing off or anything.
Cool. All right. Well, then I guess I will make good and head back up to see if I can talk to the captain about releasing Flinders, since he, yeah, is clearly incompetent.
Well, with that, let's switch over to Mr. Brady, heading into steerage to find Dilek Kaplan.
I guess I would. There's a. Is there like. There's a mess hall down in steerage, right? Okay. I would head towards that direction. And then just kind of doing so, keep an eye out for the two suspicious men that we knew were down here at one point.
Give me a spot hidden. Do not see the suspicious men. I don't know why it's hard to say. But yeah, you could head towards the steerage mess hall and finding your way into there. Being middle afternoon, there's some nobody's really eating. There are some people who are set up there playing cards and chatting and so on that have not taken to their beds. It's not a huge number of people about, but certainly some people are fine and up and about dealing with the fact that the boat is rocking relatively violently.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see the mess hall, like the actual mess in the back, has a handful of cooks who are working on carefully cooking a dinner without causing too much of an issue. Mess with the continued boat's disturbance.
I guess I'll just go up to the cooks and ask if they have seen or if any one of them is Dilek Kaplan.
There's one cook closer to the front of you, and who looks up and says, "Kaplan." He looks around for a moment. And there's a lean fellow in the back with curly brown hair and a bit of a mop tied back, and he yells out, "Kaplan, fellow here to see you." The guy in the back turns around and makes his way over and says, "Sir, it's almost dinner. I've got to finish cooking. What do you need?"
Oh, pardon me. I just had a few questions for you. I'm not. Are you? Are you? Sorry, I'm trying to look at my notes here. All right. And it's what time is it currently?
Probably like 3-ish, three
Okay.
3 to 4, sort of.
Okay. Oh, pardon me, sir. How long are you into your shift so far?
I guess say it's a good 8 hours. I've got some more to go before the dinner rush is done.
Okay. We've just been seeing or hearing of some suspicious events take place on the boat, and just kind of randomly asking people in different parts of the boat to kind of pick their brain and see what they might know or have seen go on. And I was hoping you might be able to let me know if there's anything that you've seen that looks suspicious as of recent.
Like, the enthusiasm for the slop that we cook down here, that's suspicious. But I suppose, if anybody who's keeping their lunch down is probably happy to eat more.
So most people are sick right now. How often do you have people coming to see about a meal down here?
Well, we still have a pretty regular flow coming every breakfast, lunch, and dinners, despite despite the seas. Just less than might be here if it were calm waters, I'm sure.
Okay. So do you serve? Are you working overnights, or when do you normally get off?
I'd be finishing up around 8, I suppose, after my 12-hour shift is done.
12-hour shift. Okay. 8. So when you get off, are you usually here in steerage, or are you traveling about on the boat after you get off?
I have a little time to myself, but the crew I generally were stay down here to in the just off the steerage quarters for the crew quarters. Only really the bridge crew get stay up on the upper decks.
So when was the last time you were on the upper decks?
I suppose back when we left. I haven't had a reason to be up there since.
Okay. And looking at Mr. Kaplan, does his outfit look any particular way? Does he look like he might be concealing anything on his body? Does it just kind of look like a normal person? Doesn't make me think that there's anything off about him, or
So he's rather scrawny. He's wearing a cook's uniform that is somewhat stained. You might surmise that that's probably partly because spills are a little more common in high seas when you're trying to cook. It looks like some grease and probably some like soup and other things that have splashed upon him at various points. He's a junior cook working basically on a lot of the prep. And presumably has to work fairly hard. His lean figure it's certainly possible he might have something under his clothes, but nothing too obvious or too big. There's no real obvious lumps or anything sticking out. Nor does he have sort of like the muscular build of the fish people that you ran into before.
okay. Okay. Mr. Kaplan, so have you heard anything about anything kind of extraordinary that's been happening on the boat, or
Well, you mean besides the murder of the crewman down below? That's certainly very strange. First ship I've been on with a murder.
definitely it is very strange, and it's unfortunate that it had happened at all. But as far as anything that's been event-wise that's been out of the ordinary, this is all you've heard about?
Well, let's just say that I've been making sure that I get to bed early. It seems like in the nights there's some tales among the passengers and crew down here of strange noises and mists in the halls. But I don't pay that much mind. I keep myself to myself, and I try to make sure that I get a good rest every night. I've got long shifts.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna try with him telling me, kind of talking to me. Would I be able to tell if he's lying at all, or if he sounds like he's putting on a front?
Yeah, give me a psychology roll. Yeah, he seems relatively straightforward with you. And then I would say like logically in terms of things that he said, there's nothing that's particularly like obviously amiss.
Yeah. Yeah, Brady's kind of thinking that this man is, he's kind of wondering why this Mr. Kaplan was seen as suspicious at the moment. So Mr. Kaplan, I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry to bother you, and I hope that the rest of this...
just to roll back, what the fellow, what the bursar had said was that all four of these people were new to the ship when they left for this voyage, and none of them had particularly strong references. They were some of the last few positions to be filled before they left port. So he's not, basically he's not really sure of them as much as they have, as much as he has specific suspicions.
Okay. Well, then, with that, I guess the only question I have left for you, Mr. Kaplan, is what did you do before being a cook in steerage on the ship?
This is a move up for me from merchant vessels. I was a cook on a freighter that was traveling to the East Indies.
East Indies. Okay. Well, I don't have any further questioning for you, and I appreciate your time and hope that the rest of this trip is less than eventful for you or for all of us. So I will bid you farewell, and we will see you later.
He hustles back over without much of another word to what he was doing. Looking at it, looks like he was chopping up a quite a large set of potatoes.
Brady will just kind of head back to the, I guess, the room at this point. Or yeah, he'll just head back to the room.
All right, well, let us pop over to Mr. Wright and Mr. Draper.
Before we left, could I have said that I brought my tool bag?
Sure. Yep, why not?
Just in case.
So both of you were heading in the direction of Mrs. Hastings, correct?
Yes.
I'll as we're walking, I'll tell Mr. Wright, if we do see any of the individuals we're looking out for, I can try to follow them while you go to Miss Hastings.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, if you guys are keeping an eye out on your way across the decks, I guess you can give me a spot hidden.
Spot. There it is. Oh, come on.
No,
7?
now both of you by a small margin.
7. I will spend 7 luck points.
All right. Having exited your room and making your way down the hall, Mr. Draper, with a feeling in your gut, you double back for a moment and peer around the edge, looking back down the hall behind you. You see just appearing around the corner at the far end and hustling towards you, the shorter of the two suspicious men.
Oh, I wasn't expecting them. Okay. So this is like right outside our room?
Basically a little past your room, down the hall. You might surmise that he was watching for your exit.
I will... Did he spot me? Like, did we like lock eyes or something?
He did not. You were careful to peer around the corner briefly and then pull back.
Okay.
You saw him coming.
So he was... Sorry, he was not the way we were heading?
He's following you, basically. But he was not. He was the opposite side from you. Down there.
Okay. I will um, try to nonchalantly, like, face forward, but like talking, like it does, try to make it look like I'm not talking to Mr. Wright, but I will try to say, one of those men is behind us. It was the shorter of the two, you said? The shorter one. I think we should just keep walking.
A little worried about leaving Watts now. We should double back in a minute.
Yeah, I was going to suggest possibly around a corner and try to see what they do.
Take a route towards like a common area, but find somewhere that's not like super visible from a lot of rooms. Take a turn and then wait for him to catch up if he's still following. With a hand on the pistol in the pocket.
So, waiting to string him along, you turn a corner, and I guess the most logical place might be the stairwell that goes up to the next level. Considering that you were turning into like a crossways hall. Standing just around that next corner, you are both waiting there when this scraggly short fellow with a scraggly beard and pale face turns around, turns the corner to follow you, and stops dead, coughing briefly, and looks to suddenly turn around and walk away.
While we waited for him, I will have grabbed my gun out of my bag and put it in my jacket, just so it's a little more easier accessible.
Sure.
Are you feeling all right? The weather got to you too, huh?
Says, I'm feeling quite sick. Which way to the deck?
We were headed our way there ourselves. Why don't you come with us?
That I think it's just over here, sir. That looks like an exit, and he's like pointing like the other direction.
Oh, looks like we were walking the wrong way. Lead on.
It's like okay. And he like looks over his shoulder at you as he turns, and seems to be almost visibly sweating. He walks towards the exit that's at the far side of the hall that you caught him in.
We walk a couple paces behind.
He opens the door and is immediately blasted with rain coming in and a gust of wind as the boat's heaving back the other direction, tilting this door more upwards into the inclement weather. It says, "Nasty day, but need some fresh air," and steps out onto the deck.
It's fresh, but I wish it was more dry.
I will step out onto the deck as well, and then like lean up against the wall next to the door, and just kind of watch what happens.
Is there any crew in sight once we exit the door?
Looking up and down the deck, it looks like there's one crewman down at the far end on the bow, dealing with some ropes. But otherwise, with the bad weather, certainly no passengers, and no passengers, and that one crewman are all you can see up and down this side of the boat at the moment.
Say, do you have a light?
He
I pull out a cigarette and kind of try and keep it under the hat.
he nods and goes to pat his pockets. Hold on, let me. He pulls a lighter from his pocket in his coat and holds it up and attempts to strike it. It's not lighting, and he's striking it several more times before a small flame manages to appear that he holds up.
I hold out the cigarette and try and keep it from getting wet. And wait for him to light it.
You're able to take a drag, and he flips it closed and says, "Well, I think that's enough fresh air for me. I'll be heading back inside, gentlemen."
See you around.
He tries to shoulder his way past you since you're standing right by the door, and duck down as he makes his way back in.
I'll just give him a nod as he goes on.
He scurries off, and if you look through the portal, descends back down below decks.
Well, that was certainly interesting.
I don't think we're quite done with him yet.
Most likely not.
Yeah, I'll say certainly without even a psychology roll, the fellow was very perturbed to be spotted tailing you, and really didn't know what to do with himself.
I have a peek back inside. Does it look like he's heading back to our rooms?
No, so you saw him descend down below towards steerage class.
Okay. Excellent. Well, seeing him actually head down below, kind of relax a little bit, and then probably take the time to finish the cigarette before putting it out and saying, "Well, I suppose we should go see Miss Hastings."
Sure. Yeah, I'll follow you.
Continue on.
That side, I guess you can head back towards the library, which is where you last saw Mrs. Hastings. Making your way upstairs, you now, being on the lookout for tails, do not see this fellow again. I won't make you roll again to see if you're successful at that. You know what you're looking for. And you can make your way back up to the library, where Mrs. Hastings is sitting, remains ensconced entranced by her book that she's studying and flipping through the pages and making hasty notes.
Did we see either of the stewards along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you would have seen some stewards going back and forth. I guess just give me a luck. Whether you happen to run into them.
All right. I just spent some, so. Ooh.
Oh, there we go. Luckily, you run as you see a female steward coming along with the name Talbot stitched upon her shirt. She's carrying a tray of that looks like it has some kind of hot beverages on it, which she is carrying with some difficulty, attempting not to spill.
I will say to Mr. Wright as we're walking, I just spotted one of the stewards. I'm gonna try to just see what she's doing. Um, good luck with Miss Hastings, I guess.
Do be careful.
Of course.
I'll see you back at the room.
Mhm. So I will
Go that direction, and or so with Miss Talbot, or Mrs. I suppose, but probably Miss working on a ship. You can follow her along as she traverses the upper corridor of the first class cabins, and unless you stop her before she gets to her door where she's delivering, she knocks on the door partway down, and a man opens the door. And she says, it's like your tea. Do hope it settles your stomach. You hear a voice from inside thank her and take the tray. Do you interrupt?
no, I'll just watch for a minute. Just watch for now.
All right. She nods and thanks him and turns back towards you and heads back down the hall.
As she like turns towards me, I will like put a hand out and say, "Steward,
Oh yes.
um, um, my friend, we're in the upstairs, like right."
Yeah, you're in the next level up from where
Okay.
your crew, where your cabins are.
My friend in, I'll give the room number that Watts is in. He's not taking the seas very well. Was there any like medicinal teas that you serve?
Indeed, we do have some tisanes that are popular, getting increasingly popular with the high seas, that do seem to help settle indigestion. Would you like me to bring it? What room is your friend in?
Yes, I think that would help him out quite a bit. Let me see. I don't think there's numbers on this.
Oh yeah, I don't know. We'll say that you say the right room number,
Yeah.
unless you want to give her a fake room number.
Now I'll give him the one that Watts is in currently. So that would be Baker's room. And
We're gonna say it's 13, just because.
room 13. And then I'll say, you move around about the ship quite a bit, right?
Indeed, that's my job as a stewardess, sir.
You know, I've been hearing a lot of rumors about strange things. You wouldn't happen to have heard anything or seen anything?
She looks a little uneasy and says, I don't know what you mean, sir. There's obviously been that terrible business down below, but otherwise, I'm just trying to do a good job and serve the first class passengers.
Oh, of course, and I don't mean to upset you or anything. It's just wanting to make sure there's nothing actually going on, you know, with the talk about.
Well, this is pretty terrible seas. This is actually my first time as a stewardess on the ocean. I was working on train lines before this.
Oh, I imagine it's a little more stable footing on trains. But I feel like I had another question I was going to ask, but I forgot. Anything else I should ask her? Just asking any of the other people. I'll say while I'm thinking of a question, can I try to get a read on her? You said she sounded a little nervous. Can I get like Is she nervous about being asked about it, or nervous about like the things happening? Like,
You give me a psychology roll.
okay.
Not had good luck on this.
No.
I mean, in terms of your basic ability to do this type of thing, I think your gut instinct would be that she's just generally a little nervous about doing a good job and not saying something wrong. You don't get any very specific suspicions that she's trying to be evasive.
I'll just ask, what made you decide to change venues from a train to a ship?
Well, I thought it would be an adventure, but not an adventure like this. I rather thought it was supposed to be quite a quiet crossing, with the being this early in the year.
Yeah, I think that is what most of us were expecting. But anyway, I've taken enough of your time, and yeah, please bring that tea to my friend, if you would.
Indeed, I'll make that my next stop. I'll head down to the kitchens now and have it prepared.
Thank you.
She hurries away and makes her way down the steps, and you see her disappear around the corner.
I guess that didn't take too long. I guess I'll head towards the library.
That didn't take terribly long. We will arrive at the library not too long after Mr. Wright. We will go over to Mr. Wright, who arrives before you. Yeah, as I said, finding Mrs. Hastings still quite engrossed in her book.
How is the room at the moment? Is it like soup? Like how many people are in there?
Basically, it's just her. It's a fairly small library on the ship. They don't devote much space to it. Basically, one writing desk and a few shelves lining the walls with fairly pedestrian fiction and nonfiction options that would be popular to keep passengers busy on the voyage, as opposed to a serious actual research library. She's largely using it for the larger desk that's available here, most likely compared to the small table that would be in her room.
Does the book look like it came from the library or something from her personal collection?
It's still the old tome that she had told you about before. Clearly, like an antique treatise that she's treating with some care. The other like books and notes are obviously modern that look like she is using for her own note taking.
I'll just approach and say, any new revelations?
Looks up and says, "Ah, Mr. Wright. Your friends Brady and Watts were here not too long ago. Tell me, have you met with them?"
Yes. It appears they filled the ask. Miss Green tends to accompany you everywhere and mirror your moves, and this plan of all of yours would work much better if she was distracted. And I seem to have drawn the short straw.
Ah, then you've been press ganged into keeping her busy this evening. She is glued to my side much of the time, and normally it's only just during the afternoons that I manage to escape her while she attends to various or various business related to my clothing and personal effects that must be dealt with each day. But in the evenings, well, if I'm going to do what I'm hoping to do, she can't. I shan't want her to be around.
So I've heard. Um, these brief moments you have with her doing other duties, do they tend to be regular? She leave at the same time? Is she punctual?
Very punctual. I'm expecting her back probably any minute. She most likely is done dealing with tidying up the room and making the bed. Obviously, I tend to sleep in, so she doesn't have an opportunity to do it in the morning and accompanies me to my first meal of the day. But I'm sure she'll be wrapping up soon enough and be summoning me down to dinner.
Very well. Uh, when does she depart in the evenings to take care of these tasks?
Post dinner, she'll likely have spend a little time to herself, but that time is still usually spent well nearby, unless I'm off doing something specific. I was able to ditch her for the evening that Miss Baker and I spent in the smoking room. She was only assuaged by the fact that Cox was going to accompany me, but otherwise, that she would not be caught in a men's lounge like that, and was quite scandalized. But not so scandalized as she'll be if she finds out that I'm trying to do this. And she gestures at the books in front of her.
Of course, but she has to do those tasks sometime. And you said she does them the same time every night?
Oh, sorry. She does them in the afternoon. She's doing them right now, is what I said.
Oh,
Sorry, I think I messed up how I said that. Basically, she's gone right now and leaving her alone, and will be back soon. And then they'll go to dinner, and then while Miss Green may not be doing anything that she actually has to do around Mrs. Hastings in the evening, she tends to try and stick by Mrs. Hastings unless Mrs. Hastings manages to ditch her.
okay. So she only really has like a 30 minutes gap on the regular, and it's already passed.
Has not yet passed, and it would be a few hours, but it would be a few hours in the afternoon that Miss Green is normally leaves her to her own devices.
It's past the afternoon already.
You guys are in the afternoon,
Okay.
later in the afternoon. She was gone already when Brady and Watts had gone to see her, and that was a little while ago. And this
Okay. Okay. Perhaps it would be easier and less suspicious if you waited until this time tomorrow afternoon.
Well, it seems that this spell from my research must be cast after dark. That is why the timing is so important, and I must find a way to escape Miss Green's watchful eye in the evening.
Well, perhaps if you were to do something in the evening and assure Miss Green that you were going to bed while, say, we struck up a conversation, uh, might be able to ditch her that way.
A good thought. Maybe if you meet us at dinner, you can keep her busy. She is an unattached woman, and while she is very devoted to my side, I'm sure a handsome fellow such as yourself might turn her head and keep her busy. You mustn't offend her though. She's very delicate sensibilities.
Of course. At dinner, then.
Indeed, in a few hours I'll be heading on down. She'll be here soon to fetch me, and well, I'll go and change my dress for dinner and head on down there.
I best be off, lest it seems we're conspiring. I'll see you
She
later.
gives you a wink and says, "Indeed."
I squeeze out before we're seeing.
As you're leaving and heading down the stairs, Miss Green will be walking up about that same time, and give you a very brief, demure nod.
I was gonna say I would probably just stand outside the library and wait for Right
Oh
to,
yeah, you
to
had been
leave.
heading over, so if you, I mean, obviously there would have been an opportunity to interrupt if you'd wanted to.
Nah, if I could hear them like talking, I just wouldn't have interrupted. I would just wait outside.
Yeah, you basically would have had no problem hearing them talk. It's just such a small space.
Yeah, I just waited for him to come out and then walk down with him.
All right, and the two of you will run into Miss Green on your way down the stairs.
All right.
We finished making a note about that.
I'll just give her a nod as we pass.
What other areas are taking this route besides the library? Like, what could we play off we were coming from?
The smoking lounge is also on the upper deck. Obviously, and you might have been going up to the actual like bridge above if you were going to speak with the crew.
Smoking lounge is good enough. I'll seeing her down the hall. I'll quickly light a cigarette, and just enough to get freshly smoked, and have that smell as we're passing by.
All right. Well, then it would be pretty easy for her to assume that you had come from the smoking lounge. Then.
Perfect. Guess we head back towards the room.
All right. Heading back towards the room. I guess yeah, you guys can regroup. You still had two more people to find: Mark Markopoulos and Mehmed Demir.
Are all of us back together
Oh,
now?
and I think Baker was going to go talk to the captain first. Sorry, I cut you off there, Jeff.
I was just asking if all of us were there, but
No,
Baker's going to the
I guess
captain.
no.
We might run into Miss Baker as she's running up to the captain.
Jeez. All right. Well, Miss Baker.
Yeah, I would have gone straight from checking on Flinders up to speak to the captain before other things happen. Just actually feel kind of bad for Flinders. Was the captain actually? He had gone up to take command again, right?
Yeah, go up to the bridge.
Okay, then I will head up to the bridge to go talk to him.
The bridge crew is now getting more familiar with you guys, having shown up there several times, and without having to go through the rigmarole of talking your way up there. After a brief check-in with the captain, whether he wants to permit you on deck, you are shown up to the bridge, and the door open for you, bringing you into what is a hubbub of activity. With the captain looking still rather gaunt, manning the helm, and the bridge crew in the midst of doing various things. There's a set of maps that are laid out on the table behind him. And at this point, there's a crack of lightning and thunder that lights up the bridge. As the captain has been obviously giving orders and telling them how to adjust course and deal with the storm. He turns to you and says, Miss Baker, So did he meet? Yeah, you were there when.
Thought so. Yeah.
Forgetting who was, because one of you obviously wasn't there for like the going to see.
Yeah, I think Miss Baker wasn't there.
Yeah, weren't you with the box at that point?
I thought I was there when the captain woke up, but I'm honestly not sure now.
My notes are not specific. I basically just say investigators have just opened the captain's door.
I'm pretty sure it was Baker who stayed behind.
I think so.
There you go.
Well, it makes it a little more interesting. The captain turns to you and says, "Ma'am, what brings you to the bridge?" He looks out and says, "Who permitted her on the bridge?"
Well, that does confirm it. We have met before, Captain. This is why your crew will be confused. You were not feeling quite yourself at the time, as I understand it.
Says, "Oh, you must be the other investigator."
Miss Baker, pleasure to meet you. Officially. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but there is a man being held for the murders below decks. There is absolutely no way he is involved. I'm willing to sit down when you are less busy and explain the entire matter to you, but he would be useful to the investigation. Never tell him I said that, but he could be useful to the investigation if you don't need to waste a crew member watching such a harmless man.
He furrows his brow, and I guess give me a persuasion.
Not fast talk.
I don't know. How are you fast talking him with this?
Just trying to make it like presented as the most logical course of action when there's clearly a whole bunch of things going on and there's no way that this incompetent man had anything to do with it.
Okay. You fire off a volley of your reasoning that you just provided. I'll give you. You can do a fast talk roll on that. Yeah. All right. He furrows his brow and looks at you for a moment. And he says, "Well, I suppose he's not going anywhere. You can be responsible for keeping him in line."
Oh, absolutely. He will not get himself in trouble while I'm watching him. Don't worry about that.
He turns around and grabs a scrap of paper and scribbles on it and says, and hands it to you and says, "Give this to the fellow by the door. He'll release the man into your custody. But mind you, if he does anything untoward, it will be on you."
I understand. Thank you, Captain. I'll leave you to your crew. They seem to need your assistance. She'll head back out. I think last time we had to go outside to get from the bridge to like the rest of the indoor.
Yeah, so there's generally you have to go. It's 2 doors outside, and then there's like a back steps that go down into like the upper level, and then there's like 2 side steps that go down onto the deck below.
Okay, I will take the steps down onto the deck to like get a look at the storm as best I can from here and just see if anything seems particularly strange about it.
I don't Let's say, give me a seaman roll. I don't know. What would be like? Give me a meteorologist roll.
I don't know, like education or straight up luck. I don't know.
Yeah, you
There's-
can give me an education roll.
Natural
yes.
world.
Yeah, there is like a. Yeah, I think there is like a nature thing, isn't there?
Yeah, it's
I think
natural
it's like
world.
a type of science knowledge, so it's not on your sheet if you don't. Oh no, there we go. Natural world. Ha! It's under languages.
Yeah, sure. I guess that probably is about the most relevant thing.
Doesn't know.
Spend 61 luck points.
I actually have enough.
Probably very lucky.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like if there was something very clearly wrong about the storm, I wouldn't make you do a roll for it. It's definitely like a reasonably serious storm. It's pretty cold, like it's like icy, sleety rain coming down, washing across the deck. It's cold and blowy, and there are definitely foamy white caps on the fairly high waves. I mean, it's not at the point where the boat is like, has huge things splashing across it. You're not in the center of the storm, but it's definitely pretty rough and dark out there.
Okay. I guess I will head. I'll go get Flinders and then meet up with everyone.
Unless there's something special you want to do, we can relatively shortcut, saying that you do find your way back downstairs. Do you want to? I don't know. Like look for anything on your way down. Try and meet anybody. See anything.
I just want to keep a general eye out to see if I'm being followed, or if anyone seems to be paying particular attention to me as I'm wandering around.
Well, we have a spot hidden. You do watch very carefully as you descend down to the lower decks. Nobody seems to be particularly paying you any mind. Well, beyond the usual stares that you get as a pants-wearing lady out at sea with your shortcut hair and your take no shit attitude.
And horrific scar.
Horrific scars. So from that perspective, you have lots of people paying attention to you. But like, yeah, not nobody who's paying special mind to you. Presenting the paper to the guard, he nods and says, "Like, if you're sure, I can't say that he seems very dangerous. So just make sure he doesn't get up to any trouble."
No, he's not dangerous unless you count gullibility or stupidity as danger. I suppose such things can be contagious, but I will take good care of him.
He once again ushers you in, and you can go and you can pull Flinders from his incarceration.
Right, I will head on over and wake him up with as much vehemence as before, and try and snap him to attention quickly.
He is awake and sitting there looking bored and says, "Have I been released?"
I was going to mess around with you, but yes, you have been released. The captain sees that this is a waste of manpower. Now, if you would like to get out of this, we may have a job for you. Why don't you come upstairs with me and we'll see what the others have been up to.
Upstairs to the first class decks?
Don't get excited. This is purely temporary.
Can we stop for scones on the way?
I suppose they probably haven't been feeding you very well, and there's likely a surplus. And I'm pretty hungry myself. Sure, let's do it.
Buttered scones for all.
Yes, we should probably bring some back to Mr. Watts.
He looks quite excited at the idea of delicious baked goods.
All right, I will hurry him along to the first class dining area, whatever, and we will. I don't know. Are there like trays that we can take?
There are no scones. It is past breakfast.
Are there trays that we can take, anyways?
You can certainly ask for if some potentially maybe leftover pastries that are in the back from the morning service or other food. maybe dinner rolls since it's getting on towards dinner.
Flinders, you really got my hopes up, but I suppose we can bring some food back for the group anyways. I don't know, just grab whatever you can grab and let's hurry up.
He pulls his shirt up like this, and he like fills it with like a bunch of dinner rolls and some pats of butter, and starts following along behind you.
You are so embarrassing. She'll grab herself a cup of coffee and head back towards the room.
Flinders falls over. All the bread goes everywhere.
She'll just pretend not to notice and keep waiting and just like, or keep walking, expecting him to just like pick himself up and follow.
He grabs like half the dinner rolls that he dropped, and none of the butter, and gets back up. So he follows you back, and you find yourselves once again reunited. Now late in the afternoon, not long until dinner time is due, and the group of you have returned. I'd say this is probably about the right point where we should call an early night, because the events of the evening would be best for Dan to be here for.